In the early 1900s, there was a secret interview conducted where a man claimed to had interviewed the devil. Now, this interview was lost and it actually never even got published. But it wasn't until nowadays, modern times, the 2000s, is when this interview just now got released. It was hidden, but the full interview is in the book called Outwitting the Devil. It's a great book. I suggest every person should read that book. In the theory, in the interview, the person that's questioning the devil can ask him anything, and he really asks the devil how he traps people, what are his best techniques to enslave people, and the devil tells everything. He told him everything in the interview. He gave him all the secrets because the devil kept telling him that the interview is not going to get released anyway, so it doesn't matter. And funny enough, he was right. The interview didn't get released. Everybody ended up dying and stuff because, it was conducted in the 1900s, the early 1900s. But thankfully, it just got released and found nowadays. And so in that, the devil talks about the number one best way he would brag about how he claimed 98% of the population is he would cause them to drift. It's a very good interview. Like I said, read Outwitting the Devil. He goes over all this, but I want to go over one specific part, the most important, in my opinion, the most important part of the book. So if you've not read the book, that's fine. I'm going to tell you the most important part of the interview, that the devil really bragged about all the different techniques and stuff he does to get people on his side is to cause them to drift. The devil categorized the human race as two types of people, drifters and non-drifters. What is a drifter? A drifter is, like the title of this video, merely when you're distracted, when you're just drifting away, you're not focused on anything. That's why it is so imperative to be focused. The devil talked about so many different tactics he uses to get people to drift, aka be distracted. From scrolling on your phone, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, anything, all the negative emotions, all negative thoughts and emotions are designed to cause you to drift, to cause you to get in a continuous looping state of distraction. This is why negative emotions are so bad, because he talks about all negative emotions cause you to drift. He does that for a reason. That anger or sadness is there. He puts it in your mind to make you start continuing to think about anger, and you start to get angrier, and that causes you to drift and be distracted on being angry, on being upset. When you're doing that, it keeps you distracted from your goals, distracted from Jesus Christ, distracted from the other good things in life. And that's the whole point. The whole point the devil talked about is that all he needs to do is distract you guys, and he's working. It works. Like, he bragged the whole thing in the interview. He's bragging because it's working. It works. Like, he's got everybody. It's done. He said 98% of the people, drifters, I got them. They're good. They're good. And that the techniques he uses is set up so smart that it gets you when you're young. You hand a kid the tablet. You get these habits, these bad habits when you're so young. When you grow up, you're already hooked. That's the biggest thing. He causes. His whole tactic is to get the habit of drifting early when you're a kid. When it's okay to scroll on TikTok, it's okay to goon and masturbate and all these other things, because when you make these habits, now when you're older, you have the same habits, you are a drifter. And the whole reason why drifting is not good is because it distracts you from the important things. The devil bragged yet again that he said this himself, that he's so good at planting thoughts in other people, and the people think it's their own. That's why I talk about how negative emotions are so bad. That's not a good thing. Because the second you have this seed of anger, it's not good. Because the seed of anger is only there to make you angrier and to make you get on that cycle, that spiral, that downward spiral of being angry, of being upset. And the more upset you get, You think, oh, that dude wronged me. Oh, man, I want to beat it. And you keep going down that path. You're drifting. It keeps you trapped. You're distracted. That's the whole point of what the devil is doing. He just needs to distract you. That's it. That's his whole job. That's just to distract you. That's why it's so powerful, because everything nowadays is really made to distract you. And I'll talk about how to overcome that. It's relatively simple, but that's the first thing I really want you guys to understand, is that quite literally, his weapon is to distract us, to cause us to drift. That's why even like sad thoughts, being sad is not good, or being depressed is not good, because if you're depressed, you get in that depressive, sad state, and it causes you to drift, to continually think about negative, sad stuff. It keeps you, and you keep going down that spiral. It's a negative spiral. All this drifting is just to really cause a negative spiral that distracts you from the good things, from your purpose, from being focused. That's the whole point. And then that's why positive emotions, positive thoughts are so powerful, because it does the very opposite. You have the positive thought, it leads to the positive emotion, it leads to that, and it leads into a upward positive spiral. Notice when you win at something, it gives you more energy. You can work longer, you can work harder. It actually motivates you to do more good, to do more, be more focused. It doesn't drift you. It doesn't make you distracted. That's like the biggest and really most important thing. It's why negativity is always bad. It's negative thoughts, negative emotions, fear, anger. Fear is another good one. Fear is the same thing. The thought of fear, the emotion of fear is designed to make you afraid and to stay on that thought, that worry, and to let that grow and to get worse and worse. And you start, because once you get an anxiety attack, it captures you, and that's all you think about. That's the whole point, because it keeps you distracted. That's why I really harp on all negative emotions, fear, anger, sadness, all that stuff is bad. You want to be on positive. You want to be focused. That is the biggest thing. Yet again, since the devil knew this video, since the devil knew the interview was not going to be released, and he was right, it didn't, just until now, he did talk about what the non-drifters do to get out of this loop. And like I said, it's very straightforward. So if you can just think about it, the whole point of a lot of his techniques is to make you distracted, to cause you to drift. And then when you drift a long time, you get into the hypnotic rhythm. That's what he talks about. That's like you're doomed. That's you scrolling on TikTok and you're doom scrolling. You're drifting away so much, you're so distracted, you get in a hypnotic state to where you're mindlessly scrolling. And that's when he's got you. Now, that feeling of drifting and mindlessly scrolling, mindlessly doing something, and you're stuck, that is a concept that we uses that it can be, you can be led to that conclusion in other things, gooning, masturbating, same thing. It can lead down that path. And when that happens, he's got you. Like he bragged yet again, how once he gets someone in that hypnotic rhythm where they are mindlessly drifting, so distracted, not thinking about their purpose, their mission, their focus, Jesus Christ, all those positive good things, they're so distracted, that negative loop, and caught, there almost is no escape, because they don't want to get out. They don't want to wake up. They don't want to stop drifting. That's the biggest thing. So the first thing to not be distracted really is to want to not be distracted, is to want to not drift. That was the first thing the devil says, that's really the first step of all the non-drifters that he claimed that he can't control. The 2% is that the first thing, you just have to want to not drift. The biggest problem with people nowadays is that they don't care. Like, they want to scroll TikTok, they want to scroll Instagram, they want to binge Netflix, they want to be drifting, right? That's the first thing. You have to want to, and then that simple want will place that seed of positivity, that seed that can help you overcome this. Focus is such a big thing. Like, it's such a big thing, because as you can tell, and I know all of us are human. So all of you guys have been scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram, doom scrolling, all that. That's drifting. That's the whole point. And that when he catches you in that, that's good for him. He likes that, because now your focus is diverted from positive, good things that you should be focusing on. That's the biggest thing. So, talking about now what the non-drifters do and how to actually not be distracted, like this title of this video. First thing, like I said, you have to want to be better. You have to want to do better. You have to want to not drift. First thing. Once you do that, that's really good. Now, just talking about just the plain concept, if the devil, if his whole goal is to make you drift, right, to get you in the clubs and the parties to drink, because yet again, drinking, what does it do? You drink a lot, you're drifting, you drift, you get drunk, you get dazed, you're not thinking about what you should be doing. You're not thinking about the goal you want to do tomorrow. You're not thinking about things that matter. You're not. That's the whole point. His goal, and again, his whole technique is to distract you. So if you understand that, focus is the most important thing. That an individual, he claims that an individual that's focused is scary and on the verge of becoming a non-drifter, because when you're focused, you realize that you might not realize all this stuff yet until you watch this video. You're welcome. But you do realize that things are a distraction. You realize it's not a good thing, because why? The distraction keeps you away from your goal. But now that you know this, you really understand that, yet again, a lot of this, most all the stuff is designed by the adversary, by Satan, by the devil. That yet he talks about how he's very proud that most people think negative thoughts, that intrusive thought in their head, that negative voice in their head telling them to do something, telling them to off themselves, telling them to be depressed, telling them to take the drink. They think that's them. But the devil says, no, it's me. I make the thought seem like it's them. I make them believe like it's their thought, but it's not. Because all it has to do is say, hey, man, that so-and-so, he was so mean to me today. Oh, I'm so mad at him. That's all he needs to do real quick. And then you say, oh, he really was mean. Oh my goodness, that dude. And yesterday got me. And then you start down the negative spiral. And then at that point, you're not thinking of the good, positive things. You're not thinking of what you should be doing. You're not being focused. And then you go down a loop. So first thing, don't just want to not drift. Now that you know that distracting you, making you to drift is his biggest technique, focus is very important. That you need to be focused on positive things, focused on your goal, focused on things that actually matter. I'll say that again. You should really only be focused on things that matter. I have a little saying that you should only care about what you care about and not care about what you do not care about. It sounds simple, but it's very true. You should only care about what you care about, because everything else is designed to distract you. Everything else should be designed to distract you. Like, that is such a big thing. What's going on over here? What's going on over here? Going on over here across the world? Across the world does not affect you. Like, what affects you is the habits and stuff you're doing now. That's why it's so important to build good habits, because good habits lead to positivity and leads to you being focused. Bad habits, scrolling on the phone, drinking, sleeping around, all that stuff cause you to drift. Those are bad habits. All bad habits lead to drifting, and you don't want to drift. That's the whole point, because then you're not focused. And you're not focused on the things that actually matter. Yet again, if you're so caught up in the present with your emotions, obviously emotions can be good or bad. Obviously negative emotions are all bad. That's not a good thing. And it's one thing with negative emotions, they put you in the present. Like, when you're angry or sad or depressed, you feel like this is just your life. It just sucks so bad. It gets you in this present state of mind, like this emotion will never pass. But I'll tell you right now, all feelings and emotions are temporary. But the negative ones make you feel like they're not. Like, you feel like, oh, I'm so angry. Like, or like when you're sad and depressed, you feel like you're always going to be sad and depressed. But that's not the case. All negative emotions, they're just temporary. It's temporary. But the devil, he wants you to feel like, oh, it's going to be like this forever. That's when people that commit suicide. I'm a firefighter. I made a lot of people that made suicides, and it's, being on scene and someone that has, off themselves. It's sad. It's not good. Don't do it. One of the reasons they do that is because they feel like my life is terrible, and there's no way to escape this. That at the time, they felt through their emotions that the only way to escape this feeling was to off themselves. It's not the case, obviously. And that's not the case, but the negative emotions made them feel like, oh my goodness, I'm never gonna not feel like this. That's not true. That's not true. The devil does that, and he shifts you in these feelings of, oh, it's always gonna be like this. It keeps your mind off of eternity. It keeps your mind off of that when you die, there will be another life, that your life here matters. And it's so important because what you do here, how you live your life here, will determine how you spend your next life. All the drifting, all the negative emotions keeps you distracted from that. That, okay, I can feel sad now, but I know that I won't always feel sad. Like, even if you try to always feel sad, emotions aren't permanent. Negative feelings aren't permanent. So like, just by nature, even the feeling of like love, if you love a girl and you're like, have a crush, like that feeling will not last forever like that. So all those things he designs is just to really keep you diverted from there is another life. And what you do here determines how you'll spend that other life. He doesn't want you to think about that, because when you think and you know that, it makes you focus, it makes you change, thinking, okay, like what I do here actually matters. I only get one shot here. I don't know when I'm gonna die. I only have one shot here. And the things that I do here, no matter how long I live, it could be a 1 year, or I could live till 80 years old, doesn't matter. Whatever time I have here, that will count for something when I die and go somewhere in my next life. When you know that and you live like that, you live differently, because just by nature, good things you do, and obviously like being born again, follower of Jesus Christ, now you get to go to a better place. And like, people don't understand, even heaven, okay, a lot of people don't understand this, but I'll say this real quickly. People don't really know what's going to happen after you die. A lot of times they don't really read the Bible, but it talks about how in heaven, there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. That the whole point of like the Bible and whatnot is that with Adam, he was the first man, he sinned, but the Garden of Eden was very nice and beautiful. Well, when we all die and it's the next life, he's going to transform the earth and make a new earth and a new heaven where it will be like Adam, like his time, where everything was perfect. So that's the thing. So the next life, if you go to heaven, it's going to be a new heaven, a new earth. And what you do here, the good things, will give you gifts and crowns and whatnot in the next life. So now knowing that, okay, I might be sad right now, but if I just go the extra step and help somebody, that will impact my eternity, quite literally. And by reverse, by reciprocal, if I get upset at someone and I get angry and I do something very bad, something I might regret, that could also impact my eternity. So it keeps you from not being distracted, but keep focused on what actually matters, that what I do actually matters. The bad decisions I make will actually matter. The devil's job is to make you not think about that. It's to make you so in the present, so in your emotions and drifting, where you don't think about that at all. You just do the negative things. You just do the bad habits. So focus. Focus is so important. Your goal should be to only be focused on the things that matter, the things that you want to do. That's it. Only be focused on your goals, especially if you're a young guy. Only be focused on your goals. That's it. Lock in. That's why locking in is so important. If you're a guy, the happiest times in your life most likely will be when you're in your most masculine, when you were on the mission, on the hunt, grinding it out, getting progress, seeing results, being successful. That's when you were the most happiest. And by default, the most toughest times in your life, the most saddest, depressing times in your life was when you're most feminine. Like when you were the most feminine, that's normally when you're too in your feelings, you're too depressed, you're drifting, and all these other things, and you feel really bad. So it's really important for you to be locked in, to be on your goals, and be focused on the mission. Focus on the mission at hand and what actually matters. Doing good things, following Jesus Christ, and being focused on the mission of what is my goal? What do I want to do? I don't care what's happening over here in Uzbekistan. I want to make 10K a month. I need to focus on doing that, right? Or whatever your goal is. Doesn't matter. Being focused keeps you from being distracted. That's the biggest thing. It doesn't even matter what your goal is, but that's what the devil talked about, that the non-drifters, the 2%, just the act of being focused on something and being completely locked in keeps them from being distracted by the other stuff that doesn't matter. He talked about the danger. That was the danger in it. That he didn't like that. When you're focused, it keeps you from being distracted. And that's like, there you go. And now you can live life you're supposed to, That is like so important to be locked in, especially as a guy. You need to be locked in. Like every great guy you've ever thought of, whether it be like Alexander the Great, Nikolai Tesla, or like anybody, any great man, Napoleon, George Washington, whatever. You admire them because of their success, but also it's because they locked in, because they were obsessed, they were disciplined, they were driven on that goal, they were locked in. That's the point. Every guy, you think they're locked in, they're dialed in, their physique's good, they get the money, they're whatever. They're not distracted. They are locked in on what they want to do in the things that matter to them, and that's all they focus on. And as a guy, that's masculine, and that attracts you. That's why you look up to these people, because that's part of the nature of the masculine. The masculine is very goal-driven and focused, and that's ultimately what you want to be like. Because it's the girl, it's the feminine that's going to be more lackadaisical, more on their phone, more in their feelings, which is not fully bad. It's not a fully bad thing. But especially as a guy, you need to be focused and goal-driven, goal-oriented, because like I said, if you're not goal-oriented, if you're not focused, if you're not locked in, you will get distracted. And when you get distracted, the devil's he's already kind of got you. That's the whole point he makes, is that he's already kind of got you. You know, now he needs to make you on some bad habits. And you start doing that, now you start going down that negative downward spiral. When you're locked in, when you're focused, you're more positive, you're not distracted, and now you start into a positive spiral. That's the biggest thing. And all of these distractions too, yet again, the devil does not want you to think about eternity. He does not want you to think about what happens when you die, and that's very real, and that we will all be actually judged. He doesn't want you to think about that. Notice when you drink, when you're doing bad habits, you don't think about the future of like your actions. You don't think about that. You can think of the moment, and you think of negative outcomes. You don't think of what would actually happen, and that's why you really see most all locked in people, most all wealthy people, most all people that you admire and want to be like, most all of them are Christian. Most all of them do follow God. Most all of them do follow Jesus Christ. That's why. It's because when you're not distracted, you see, oh wait, this Jesus guy is real. He actually lived, and this dude is still alive. Like, he is real. The devil does not want you to know that. That's the whole point of all of this, is that if he keep you distracted, you don't think about those. You don't think about the real questions, the big stuff that actually matters. If the devil can distract you and get you down some of these bad habits, it distracts you. You don't think about the real important stuff until it's too late. That's the whole point. So if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, like, leave a comment down below if you got this far, and let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree, I'm really curious on your thoughts. And without the way, also, we thought about this, I have a self-improvement course and I have a martial art course. So self-improvement course, if you want to be the best version of yourself and live the life you've always dreamt of living, with Christ, that is a big thing. Go in the description of this video. You'll find a link in the description. And also I have a martial art course, learning self-defense and stuff. Very important, how to defend yourself against a bigger, stronger guy. I teach that as well, and that will be in the link in the description. Out of the way, guys, thank you for watching. Peace, stay safe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.